my trusted phone and went to turn it on. It got like 5%. I said, come on, Holy Ghost. Here's what I believe God would have me to share with you today. Today is D-Day. Somebody said D-Day. It's decision day. You're at fork in the road. You go right, you go left. While God can do anything, He won't do everything. Miracles happen when we accept God's invitation to partner up with Him to do what He could do all by Himself. But you got to exhibit some faith. You ain't gonna have all the facts. You got to show that you really believe God. Ain't about man. You know, I pray that Trump don't get in office because of all the consequences that could come. But hey, you know what? If Trump get in office, God's still on the throne. I ain't stressing out over that. But my faith has never been in the United States of America. Faith's never been in legal government or politics. My faith is in God. Somebody said, I've seen Him work. So we have to exhibit faith, belief in God. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Watch this. When you lose faith, you lose hope. When you lose faith, everything down, everything bad, everybody bad, because you don't have no hope. But when you look to God and say, God, you know, I know you're real because you've done too many things. I argue with people, you know, who want to argue against the presence of God. I said, well, they said, well, how you know it's a God? I said, well, you see that chair? That chair tells me there's a chair maker somewhere. See that clock? That clock tells me there's a clock maker somewhere. You see these phones and iPads, they didn't just fall out the sky. You see a phone, an iPad, a tablet, that tells you there's a iPhone maker, tablet maker somewhere. When you go outside, you see the sun come up every day in the east and settle in the west. You see the stars twinkle at night, never fall out. They socket and fall to the ground. When you see baby bones come from the womb of a woman, when you see people die that ought to live and people live who ought to die, when you wake up every morning, not by the alarm clock, but by the breath that's in your body that you didn't even tell your body to use while you were asleep, that ought to tell you that there is a God somewhere. We get all those signs from God, and God says, look, you can't save yourself, but I can save you. But you got to believe in me. Have faith in me that you can't see. Have faith in me that may not move when you want me to, but I move in mysterious ways. And when you get where you trying to get to, you find out I already been there. Now, while you may not see me, you can see my fingerprints. You can tell I've been there. You can see my footprints. You can tell I've been there. You should have faith in me. In fact, without faith, it's impossible to please God. And I know you want to please God because you wouldn't have got up and got dressed and came to the house of God if you didn't seek some kind of way that you want the favor of God. You want God to like you a little bit. If you watch it online, you wouldn't still be watching. If you didn't want God to favor you a little bit, without faith, it's impossible to please God. You say, yeah, I believe. God says, good, because you got to believe that I am. You got to believe that God is. That means he exists, and that he's a rewarder of those that diligently seek him. But you got to believe in the existence of God, but then you got to believe that God really want to do good, not bad. Even though bad things happen to good people. And all of us experience some bad things happening to us. Some a little worse than others, but all of us experience some bad things happening to us. When bad things happen to us, we can't turn out our faith from God. No. He says, you got to believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those that diligently seek him. So what stops us from believing God, from making the decision, I believe? As I recall from what God gave me, 3 things. 2 of them you might have heard me say before. From making the decision to believe in God. Because faith without works is dead. It's like the body without the spirit. You got to have some kind of action. Now, you can't save yourself by works, but if you're really saved, you're going to have some works. You believe it's raining outside, you don't want your dew to get wet. You're going to grab an umbrella or a hat or something. If you believe your car brakes is broken, it ain't going to stop, you ain't getting in that car. Faith has works, and you say, yeah, I want to come, but I don't know about coming down to church. You know, I've seen church folks do all kind of crazy stuff. I've seen preachers do all kind of crazy stuff and all that kind of stuff. And church folks that lied on me and they done misused me and all that kind of. Preachers that did this and pastors done. And I say, I agree with all that stuff. Because none is perfect. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. But there is no church member, there's no preacher, there's no deacon, there's no pastor that can save you. It ain't about them, it's about you and God. God made the church. I don't know why. Listen, the church get on my nerve. I don't like saying this all the time, but there's some Sundays I don't want to come to church. When y'all don't show up, I say, hey, I understand. However, I show up because I love God. I show up because I got a responsibility. I show up because I realize that somebody really thinks that I know God and they're going to see God as I show God to them. That I understand it ain't about my feelings. And even if I wasn't in the pulpit, I still have to show up because I'm a light. Every believer is a light. It's D-Day because it's time to decide whether you're going to really believe in God or whether you're just going to let this opportunity pass. Why would you let it pass? Because 3 things. 1, we delay our belief in God because we want to make it a private decision. We don't want other folks to know that we really love God. Because if they find out we really love God, they might expect us to stop cussing so much. They might expect us to stop doing some of the stuff we've been doing that we still like doing. If we keep it private, watch this, because this is the real issue here. If we keep it private, then can't nobody hold me accountable for not living like I ought to live because I say I believe in God. I'm a child of God. So we like to keep it private. Don't want to tell nobody that. God know me, I know him. We cool. We got a relationship. But that private thing don't work, because when God does things for you and you know God does things for you, and when you get in a public setting and you too embarrassed or ashamed to give him praise, after he's the only reason why you got a car. He's the only reason why you got a job. He's the only reason why your boo ain't left you. He's the only reason why you ain't lost your mind. But because it's just you and God that knows that you keep your little private decision private. So we don't claim our faith because it's a private decision. We don't decide our faith because we want to postpone it. If I was going to take the text, I would take the text about Agrippa. When Paul went to Agrippa and gave his testimony to Agrippa, and he told Agrippa, said, Agrippa, this is what God did to me. This is what God did for me. And I was not ignorant of or irresponsive of what he done for me. I had to surrender to him, Agrippa. Agrippa, do you believe in the prophets? I know you believe in the prophets. Agrippa said, well, this ain't a good time for that. That's what some of us do. I want to decide for God. I want to get back in church. I want to find my place in my relationship with God. I want to find where God wants me to be and how he wants me to stand. I want to find a ministry that I can really help to flourish and live out my calling in God. But not this week. Let me come back next week. Let me come back after I get through dealing with this situation I got at home. I got to get this man out my house. I got to get my children straight. I got to quit all this smoking that I'm doing. We postpone it. And when you postpone your decision for a better time rarely comes. The best time you got is right now. When you postpone it, the enemy the enemy rarely tells a child of God, don't do it or stop doing it. He just says, wait. So don't come forth today. You still got weed smoke on you. Don't come forth today. You got a hookup later on this evening. Don't come forth today. You got this scheme that you planning for Tuesday. Wait till after this week, and next week you can do this. But what you fail to remember is that every time you postpone, the enemy gets so busy with you that you get distracted. You get way off course. You don't even know you don't even remember what you promised God. You don't even remember what you promised yourself. As you said, you told yourself, God, if God get me out of this, daughter, I'm getting my butt back in church. I'm going to read my Bible. I'm going to pray. You made all those promises to yourself. But when you postpone it, you get distracted with life. Jesus said, today is the day of salvation. Now is the accepted time. But can I tell you the real reason why we put off making this real decision? It ain't just that we want to keep it private because we don't want nobody getting in our business. It ain't just that we want to postpone it till it's more convenient, as if there's a more convenient time than right now. Tomorrow's not promised. You could have a heart attack today, a stroke tonight, a car accident take you out. Ain't nothing promised, but you want to postpone it like you guaranteed tomorrow. But here's the real reason that you and I don't make decisions and believe in God in our crisis situation. It has to do with this 5-letter word, P-R-I-D-E. Pride. It's our ego. It's our self-valuation of ourselves. We think so much of ourselves that we have to save our pride. Well, all I can say about that is that you need to find a way, take a big swallow, and swallow your pride. Because your pride will get you killed. Your pride will keep you lonely. Your pride will keep you broke. Your pride will keep you all by yourself with nobody to help you. That you got to learn how to humble yourself. Pride is when we put ourselves over others. Pride is when we reject the assistance and refuse to listen to what others have to say. Pride is when we insist on isolating ourselves from other people. Pride is when we delude our mind into thinking that we are worth more than others. Pride is when we evade the promises and the privileges of God by doing our own thing. And I keep telling them, listen, I get over the lust of the flesh. I got old now. The flesh still rise up and want to do things just to do it because it feels good. But I've lived long enough to know that the lust of the flesh, it kind of wanes. The lust of the eye, it does too. You know, you get in things because it look good, it feels good, all that kind of stuff. But the pride of life, that booger, it's always with us. And it's our pride that won't let us say, I'm sorry. It's our pride that won't let us say, I'm wrong. It's our pride that won't let us say, I need help. It's our pride that won't let us say, God, I really believe in you. God, I really need you. God, I got to have you. I'm tired of making this life on my own. I need you. I may not need anybody else, but God, I need you. And if you said, this is the way I come, this is the way I come. I don't care what nobody else have to say about it.